Hello and welcome to What is Home Education, a supportive guide for curious and concerned families, presented by me, Amy. This is a video that I am recording prior to the Zoom session this evening, just in case I cannot record the actual Zoom session, so there will not be a Q&A in this video. I hope everyone is well and ready to go. So this is just some of what's coming up. So home education versus homeschooling and the difference between the two, laws, regulations and annual checks with your LAs, you hit EHCPs and SEND Children, resources and costings, and is a curriculum needed? Which is one of the main questions I get asked, really. So let's get started. So this is me, your host. Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Amy, I'm 33 and I live in Lincolnshire. I home educate my two kids aged 13 and 10. After making the decision to step away from the traditional school system, I've seen firsthand the incredible difference home education can make. Now I dedicate my time to helping other parents do the same and get their children out of this broken system. And take back control of your child's education and what they learn and what you expose them to. And I am so excited and I'm so glad that you're here, and I cannot wait to share more and support and learn together. So these are our personal stories, so mine and my children's, and I'll quickly read them out for you. Our stories, our home education journey began over 3 years ago when my son, then 7, was struggling in year 2. He couldn't understand why he was still in school, as much of his early education had been disrupted by COVID-19 lockdowns. On top of that, he was experiencing frequent hypoglycemia episodes, and we were still trying to understand the cause. He also had a deep fear of food, which I now recognise as ARFID. Despite raising my concerns, the school showed little interest. Their main focus seemed to be on how well his packed lunch fit into their healthy eating policy. They routinely removed items like biscuit or chocolate from his lunchbox, regardless of his medical needs. The breaking point came when I picked him up from school and had to rush him to A&E due to low blood sugar, only to find he hadn't eaten anything all day. No one had contacted me despite knowing his condition. That was the moment I decided to withdraw him from school. I had no idea where to begin with home education, but I knew I couldn't leave him in that environment any longer. And that really was it with him, honestly. It was so scary because when he was 2, we had him near enough in a diabetic coma. So as you can imagine, I couldn't risk that again. So I pulled him out, not knowing where to start, what to do, or even what home education was. Anyway, 2 years later, my daughter began year 7 at a grammar school. We were so proud. She'd worked hard to get there. Diagnosed with ADHD, we made sure to check the SEND provision carefully, and we were reassured that the support would be in place both in and out of lessons. However, after a promising start, things quickly changed. She began receiving punishments for behaviours linked to her diagnosis, being isolated for fidgeting, forgetting a book, or even for telling a friend she was being bullied. The consequences felt excessive and counterproductive. After weeks of meetings and seeing her confidence crumble, the final straw came when she told me she didn't want to be here anymore because she felt like she couldn't do anything right. I removed her from school immediately. What followed was a 3-month period of deschooling and counselling to help her recover from what I can only describe as school-induced trauma. And so that is basically our little stories and how the system failed my kids, or I believe it failed my kids, and I'm sure there are lots of you sat here watching this in a similar position. You feel like the schools are not meeting your child's needs, and let's face it, that's what it boils down to, is not all children are the same. Some have different needs, and every child is different, and the schools just do not meet this. So we've got school stories. The UK system is unfortunately failing many of our children for a lot of families. School has become a source of daily stress rather than a place of growth. Far too many children experience trauma within the school environment, whether from bullying, unmet needs, academic pressure, or a lack of understanding and support. This trauma doesn't just stay at school, it follows them home and affects their overall well-being. I'd like to share some real stories, so here we go. So I've just shared my personal story, well, our personal stories, and I've now got some more stories. One of the stories I do have is actually a friend of mine, and she pulled her son out after reporting that he was getting bullied. Not only that, but his SEND needs were not being met at all at the school. Same school as my daughter, funny enough. But his SEND needs were not being met at all, and he was reporting being bullied, but just told to brush it off. Boys are boys, this, that, and the other. Until one day, these boys decided to beat him up that severely that he ended up in hospital. Enough was enough, and his mum pulled him out. So this literally had to get to a physical abuse. This was getting to a physical abuse, and it's not good enough. It shouldn't get to that, should it? The school's starting to be in him, but the problem is now, all the schools state they've got this zero tolerance to bullying. And I'm sorry, they haven't, because I hear too many parents come to me and say, I want to pull my child out due to bullying. Because the school aren't willing to help, the school aren't willing to discipline the bullies or sort out the bullies, and it's disgusting and it's wrong. And yes, bullies have always been in schools, but you'd think by now, in 2025, schools would know how to deal with bullies, but they don't seem to. So another story was from another lady in my Facebook group, my home ed Facebook group, and she said she started to home educate due to meltdowns after school, and the reluctance to go in the morning, and the struggle of getting the school to understand and support her in this. Now, this is another thing, the pressure that them children are under in school, especially if they are SEND, they are masking all day long. Now, masking takes a lot of strength for these children, and then when they get home, it often results in meltdowns because these kids are like a bottle of pop. So if you get a bottle of pop and you're shaking it and shaking it and shaking it all day long, you're shaking it, you're doing something it doesn't like to be done to it all day long, you're shaking it and shaking it, and then at the end of the day you take the lid off that pop, what is going to happen? So this is basically what these children are doing all day. They're being shook and they're being shook. Then they get home and the lid comes off. And boom. Everybody in the household knows about it. And that, in one way, is a compliment because that's their safe space to do so. But no parent wants to deal with these meltdowns. Meltdowns are horrendous to deal with and they're heartbreaking. Especially when you know it's because of a situation, just because other people that should understand them don't understand them, and it's out of order, and it shouldn't come to us having to home educate, but it is coming to that. And I think it's the only way now in the current system crisis. Not sure what happened there, but yeah, in the current crisis, I don't know the best way to support them in school. I think the best way to support our children is to pull them out. Another story that I also had was kids are saying that they're going to school but they're not learning anything. And a lot of this is because there are naughty kids. I shouldn't say naughty, but there's naughty children that get away with all sorts and spend all day disrupting classes and who knows what else. So then when there are children in that class that are genuinely wanting to learn and are there to learn and have parents who make them obey the system and everything else, but they're the ones that miss out. They're the ones that fall behind because the teacher's spending too much time telling off other children, etc., etc. So then these children that want to learn don't learn anything. And this is another problem with having 30 kids in a class. Another reason of hers was being bullied. As I've said it before, why can we not deal with bullies in school in 2025? It's been going on for years. Her child also has a twin who is autistic, and their needs are also not being met as an autistic child, which again does not surprise me with the current SEND departments in some of these schools. Some are amazing, and if you have got a child who is in a school with an amazing SEND department, then you are very, very lucky. And mum herself just not comfortable with excuse me. Mum herself was just not comfortable with the things that are being taught in school. So there are things in schools now that obviously are being taught that we don't all agree with, and I know that's always been the case, but I think now it's more so. There are things more so now that parents don't agree with, and you don't really have any say in it because it's going into the curriculum. But again, this is where home education comes into its own, because you can literally teach your children what you want. You are in control of what they are exposed to and what they learn about. And then that basically that's what she went on to say, is she wants to be in charge of her kids' education and what they're learning and what they get exposed to. And she doesn't feel that schools are safe anymore. And there's another reason. Schools are just not safe anymore. They can't even protect our kids from bullies. So how do they protect them from everything else? I mean, we hear the horror stories of kids getting beaten up, kids getting stabbed and God knows what, and it's scary. It's really scary. Why would you want to put your child into it? I know many parents have to, but it is very, very hard at the moment, and the system's just, it needs sorting, doesn't it? Anyway, reasons that home education has become more popular every day. So obviously SEND needs not met, poor mental health in children, which is a massive, massive reason. Outdated system, families not agreeing with what's being taught, bullying and peer issues, desire for freedom and child-led learning. Again, that is amazing, especially with SEND children. Child-led learning is the way forward, I can promise you that. School refusal, safety and control, and family time and lifestyle. Some of us just want to home educate because we want a different lifestyle. We want family time. We value our kids' childhoods. They don't stick around for long, so the more time we can spend with them, the better, eh? And the more memories we can make. So, the difference between home education and homeschooling, a lot of people think, well, they're the same thing. And I'm not pedantic, and I will go with whatever you want to call it. I've not got a problem. But I will tell you the difference, because some people are very pedantic about it. So, in the UK, the term home education is preferred over homeschooling, though they are often used interchangeably. Home education refers to a legal and flexible approach where parents take full responsibility for their child's learning outside of a traditional school setting. It doesn't have to follow the national curriculum or mimic school at home. Homeschooling, on the other hand, often implies a more structured, school-like routine at home, which is commonly used in the US. In the UK, home education is about personalised learning, tailored to each child's needs and in pace and interests. So basically, home education is a bit more open than homeschooling. Homeschooling tend to follow curriculums. And there is other curriculums rather than just the national one, which you can find online. So that is generally homeschooling, and like homeschooling, you're told what to taught in a roundabout way because you're following a curriculum. And you're sitting down at a desk every day and you're getting your child to do work, etc., etc. Whereas home education is much more broad and wider because you can just let your kids play every day, depending obviously on ages. And that is still classed as learning because they do learn a lot through play in the younger years. And I think they should be left to be sort of reception children till a bit later on, to be honest. Kids should be kids. So yeah, home education, a lot more open to what you can teach. You can teach what you want. You can do child-led learning so they can choose what they're learning, which is fantastic with most children because it engages them better. So your legal requirements, this is what I do get asked a lot about, and basically the only legal requirement is that you provide your child with an education. So under the Education Act 1996, all children in the UK must receive an education, but it does not have to take place in school. Parents or guardians are legally responsible for ensuring their child receives a suitable education, whether at school or through home education. No curriculum is required, no qualifications on your end are required, and the local authorities may contact you roughly once a year to check in. This can be done by phone, email, letter, or home visit. I personally respond by phone, but many families prefer to email a simple summary of what their child has been learning. That's completely acceptable too. So the LA is not as scary as people think it is. So if you have come here because you're wondering how to respond to your LA. Now, I personally have always done it by phone and I've never had a problem. They've always arranged a phone call with me. I've answered it. I've told her over the phone what we've been up to, what the children have been up to. Yes, they've been on holiday 4 times this year. Oh, she'd say that's amazing. She always says, oh, that's amazing. They're seeing different places, they're getting out, they're doing this. Yeah, we took them on a trip to Stratford-upon-Avon to go around the Shakespeare museums after doing a project on the Tudors. She said that was fantastic. And the day she phoned me, I was actually at an aquarium with my little boy and he was running around a soft play area. I told her that. And she said, oh, that's lovely. And summed up all the little things that we'd done that year, mine go on, what apps they do, what learning they do in terms of online lessons, etc. Any days out that they have, any random questions we have asked us that I remember, I will also mention them. Like my little boy will ask me things like, Mum, how does a volcano go off? And then we go into how the volcano erupts and whatnot, and we're doing this on a car journey, you know? And in that car journey was a whole geography/science lesson. So I always mention that as well, these little ones that I remember. So in your LA, when you respond to your LA, whether you do it by phone, email, however you choose to do it, I know that the way that people tell you to do it is by email. So the main advice out there is to respond to them by email so everything is in writing. So literally just sum up what you've been doing over the past 12 months in a nutshell, because I can guarantee you it will be enough. If they ask for proof of work, you do not have to send it at all. There's no harm in it. So yeah, I will advise to do it by email and just, like I say, sum everything up. And this is something else that you need to mention on your report, that children do learn naturally, and just stop doubting yourself. Honestly, if you work better with a timetable and lesson plans and etc., then that's fantastic if you've got time to do that and you don't feel under stress by doing it. If you are struggling and thinking that you're not doing enough because you're not doing this, then honestly don't worry. Children learn every single day naturally. They can't not learn. It's wired into them. So children are wired to learn through curiosity and experience, whether it's through play, asking endless questions, or joining in everyday activities. Learning happens all the time. A simple walk becomes a nature lesson, baking turns into maths and science, and chatting in the car sparks deep conversations. As I said earlier, real life experiences offer meaningful learning far beyond worksheets and textbooks. Every moment, that's the dog, every moment is a learning opportunity. You don't need to recreate school at home to educate your child effectively. And the LAs do not expect you to create school at home. They expect you to provide an education. Providing an education is not textbooks. It is not sitting there and adding up constantly. Some children learn better by doing. So if they are going to learn maths, or if they're going to learn to count better by you physically taking them to the woods and counting the trees, do that. Because that's not a problem. If they're going to learn numbers by going to the supermarket and looking at all the different prices, do that. It honestly doesn't matter. This is the way your child learns. Then you're gonna do what your child needs. All this can be put in your report, and your LA should understand it. Mine always do. Mine are amazing. So here are your different learning styles. So I keep going on about every child learns differently. So normally, most children will fall into one of these categories. I have a read-write learner, and I have an auditory learner. Auditor. I can never say it. One of them learners. Because that's just the way mine learn, and it took me a while to learn how they learn. But when I did, oh my god, it made my life so much easier. Because now, when I do plan things for them to learn, when we do plan a project, I plan one to learn one way and one to learn the other way. And I have only got 2 children, so that does make it a bit easier. But you will find your child's styles, and you might find that if you've got 3 children, they've all got the same style, which is absolutely fine. But there's also a good chance that there are going to be 3 different styles. So a visual learner who understands best through images, diagrams, charts and visual aids, they often benefit from mind maps, colour-coded notes and seeing information laid out in clear visual format. So this is better by physically seeing something being done, or on paper or in a photo or whatever. Or auditory, this is my little boys. The learners absorb information best by hearing it. They prefer to discuss, listen to explanations, podcasts, or reading out loud to themselves. Now, one thing that he absolutely loves is a documentary. This sounds stupid. No, it doesn't. This sounds silly for a 10-year-old. But he will sit and watch a documentary on pretty much anything, and he will come back 3 days later and tell you, remember on that documentary, Mum, this and this? And I'll be like, no, cannot remember a thing, because I don't remember things like that, but he does. That's how he learns most of his stuff. He loves history, so we find loads for history. He loves geography, and animals and the ocean and everything like that. So David Attenborough and all that, absolutely loves them. Disney Plus with the National Geographical documentaries, he loves them. He watched one on 9/11 the other day and learned all about that. So documentaries are a massive thing for him. And then we've got read and write learners who thrive through reading and writing. They prefer written instructions, making lists, taking detailed notes and often enjoy reading textbooks or writing things out to process information. So this is my daughter. So, for example, if we're watching one of them documentaries and I say to her, come and sit and watch this documentary with us, she will need to write notes as she goes. So she will write down bits that she wants to remember as she goes. So as she's listening, she's writing, and by the writing, it goes better into her brain because she's physically writing it down. If she's reading, and there's parts of it that she wants to remember or she knows she needs to remember, she will physically write it down from reading it. So that's how she learns. And then there's a kinesthetic I can never say that either. Honestly, I'm rubbish. Hands-on learners who learn at best through movement and doing. They benefit from practical activities, experiments, real-life experiences, and using physical objects to explore ideas. Now, my little boy also falls into a little bit of this. So don't worry if you're thinking, my child's a bit of that and that. That's absolutely fine, because they can fall into two categories. Because he definitely falls into this a little bit, and my little girl does to a degree with the real life experiences. But she's not practical and she's not hands-on. That's just not her. But some are, some aren't. It's the same with adults, isn't it? So you will find one though that generally fits your child better. Now, when people used to say this to me, I used to think, how stupid. But actually, when I started home educating, I realised that it's so obvious without even looking of which one they fall into. But you will get to know your child and you will get to know the best way they learn. Don't expect it to happen straight away, because it won't. Right, we've got EHCPs and SEND Children. So, obviously home education can be very daunting for a parent if you've got a SEND child, because it's a little bit more challenging, isn't it? At the end of the day, sometimes they go to school and it's a little bit of relief for you, it's a little bit of a break, and that's absolutely fine if you feel like that. It is not a problem, it's understandable. I work with severe SEND adults, and I understand why they need these kids in school, and parents need that time, and I fully understand that. But these are the children, unless they're getting into special schools, which if they are getting into the special needs schools, then that's absolutely amazing, because most of these schools that I personally know of are fantastic. But if you have got an in-betweener, which is basically a SEND child, but is ending up in the main school system because they're not SEND enough to go into a special needs school, but they're also not, I don't know the best way to put it, they're also not like most other children, so therefore they don't really have a school that they fit into. Now, it's these children that are definitely being failed the most. So home education can be life-changing for children with special educational needs and disabilities. It allows for a flexible, personalised approach that respects each child's pace, learning style and sensory needs. There are no rigid timetables, loud classrooms or unrealistic expectations, just space to thrive emotionally, socially and academically. Families can build their own support systems, adjust their environment and tailor learning in a way schools often cannot. So then people always say, well, how does the EHCP work in home education if they have one? So basically, an education, health and care plan can still apply if your child is home educated, while the local authority no longer has to provide school-based support. They must still review the EHCP annually and can help with services like speech therapy or equipment, especially if the EHCP specifies it. You can apply for an EHCP yourself while home educating. The process is the same. Request an assessment from your local authority and provide evidence of your child's needs. Having an EHCP in place can help secure future support or resources and give you a clearer picture on your child's learning and development needs, even outside the school system. So, yes, EHCPs still stand and are still valid if you choose to home educate. People ask this all the time. But like it says, they don't have to supply the support. But if your children need certain things to be able to learn, then they still have to supply it with that in place. So that is how that works. And you might be, because of the EHCP, you may be entitled to certain educational settings for childcare. So there might be a forest school or something, but you need a forest school that accepts this, and then that can also get help to look after your child. So like another thing is why, if you work and you want to home educate, there are ways and means of finding Ofsted registered childcare that you will get so much subsidised from the government to actually pay for this childcare during your working hours. Hope you understood that. That was rambling, wasn't it? Anyway, a typical home ed day for us. Now, a home ed day for us is not that exciting, and I'm sure people do a lot more exciting things than we do. But for us, the typical day isn't too structured. We have a mix of real life learning and textbook learning. Kids wake up between 9 and 10:30, brush their teeth, have their breakfast, watch the telly, do what they want. 10:30 till 11:30. So it's kids' choice what they do. It could be reading, baking, it could be playing in the garden, or it could be playing on the Xbox, Switch, or watching TV. Then from 11:30 till 12:30, generally, they will either have online lessons, which are usually with Zoe, or they might have IXL Work, which is an app that they do their maths, English, and science on. Then between 12:30 and 1:30, they'll have the lunch, generally, and then between 1:30 and 3:30, some work towards their current project. This could be research, watching documentary, and then displaying it in their books, which they don't necessarily do this every day. This is just a typical day to us. And then from 3:30, it's just do what they want till bedtime. Well, they don't really have a bedtime, they just sort of go to bed naturally. Around 9:30, 10 o'clock, they naturally go to bed. And I think you find that with home education, because their body's a lot more natural. We have no arguments, nothing. I don't even say go to bed, they just say they're going. And this was another thing I found with home education. I have no arguments on them going to bed. I have no arguments when they have to get up early, because most days it's 10 o'clock before my oldest gets up. She's 13, teenager, 10:30, she'll get up most days, but I leave her. She's a teenager. They do need more sleep. It's scientifically proven. But if I say to her, right, we need to be up and out the door by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, she'll do it. And I don't have any arguments, nothing, like I used to. I might get why is it that early? Or something like that, but she doesn't argue like she used to when it was school. She hated getting up for school. And then, come 10 o'clock at night, they go, we're going to bed. I don't even have to force them to do that anymore, because it's so natural to them that you're not constantly saying bed, whereas when they were in school, I was. And then we also aim, here it says, We also aim for 1 day a week out. So this could be a walk in the woods, it could be a museum, it could be a visit to a trampoline park, it could be a visit to the cinema. Whatever it might be, we go out one day and we just do whatever. Here's one of my little boy. I don't know if you can see that picture very well, but this was at a museum, the RAF Museum in London. He did the Spitfire experience and he absolutely loved it. And that's my daughter in the woods, playing, learning. Asked me why, that is the day, she was asking me why all the leaves are different colours. And then we got home, we brought some leaves home with us and we did a little project on the seasons and the leaves changing and falling and all the rest of it. So that little trip led to a good lesson. So your resources and your costs. So in the UK there is a wide range of home education resources available to support families on their journey, from free online platforms offering worksheets, lesson plans and interactive activities for paid descriptions for structured curriculums and virtual classes. There's something for every style and budget. Local home ed groups often organise meetups, workshops and co-ops, giving children opportunities to learn socially and explore new interests in person. Whether you're looking for academic support, creative outlets or community connections, there are plenty of accessible options out there to help make home education both effective and enjoyable. So this is Twinkle. We actually use this and we do pay £10 a month for it, but there is a free version you can use. So if you want to only use the free version, you can. You just don't get access to as much. But if your child goes to school currently, then Twinkle will be familiar to them, because a lot of teachers use Twinkle and their worksheets and everything will be from Twinkle. The £2 tuition hub, we personally have never used, but I do hear very, very good things about it, and there's lessons on there constantly, and it is only £2 a lesson. This is Learn Online with Zoe, and again you can find her on Facebook. She is amazing. She does lessons throughout the day on different things, from maths to English to geography, history, science, Lego. Honestly, she does all sorts. I can't even think of many of the other ones. Oceans, she's done around the world. Oh my gosh, she's done so many and my little boy loves them. Then you've got IXL, which is an app that you can download, they can download, and you can track what they're doing on the app, and what grades they would be hitting, find out where they need help, etc, etc. So yeah, this works really well. So the IXL I do pay for, I think it's about $18.99 a month, because I have 2 children on it. So the IXL is costing. Twinkle can be free. £2 tuition hub is, I think it's £2 per lesson. I think. But with Zoe, with Learn Online with Zoe, you pay per lesson. So if you want 2 lessons that week, it's £7. But if you want no lessons, you don't have to. You're not into a contract with Zoe. You literally just pay for them when you want them. So if you're on holiday or you're unable to commit to some or whatever, don't worry about it, because you don't have to pay for it or book it unless you know 100% that you're going to be here and your child can do it. What else is it? There's BBC Bite Size, which is a really good free thing out there. YouTube is another massive one that's amazing and free. We find everything on YouTube, absolutely everything. TikTok. Now this might sound silly, but if you have TikTok, go across on the top of your screen with TikTok, you should have a STEM, which is STEM, on next to your where it says for you at the top of your page. You should have STEM somewhere along there. Now, if you sit with your child, because I'm not going to say let your child scroll on TikTok, obviously, because some of these kids are little, I get that. if you sit with them and scroll through that stem one, don't come off your For You, go onto the stem, scroll through it, and the amount of little educational videos on there is amazing. Little people doing little science projects, all different things that, again, you could take half an hour and sit with them and just scroll and watch these videos. You can also scroll through them videos and find yourself a project that you want to do and learn about. That's another free thing you could do. I'm trying to think of all the free things. That I had another one in my head, but it's gone. Yep, it's gone. Oh, that was it. Earlier on, I mentioned Disney Plus with the National Geographical documentaries. Again, these are fantastic to go back to and get your kids to watch, because there's lots to do with animals, oceans, the world, history. There's so much to do on there. You'll find your children's interests, and once you find your children's interests and you revolve their learning around their interests, you will find teaching easier. Although I don't believe, if you're home educating your children, I don't believe that you are a teacher. All you are basically doing is parenting. Remember when they were toddlers and you helped them learn to talk, you helped them learn to walk, you helped them to learn to read the first couple of words, you helped them learn to count. You did that, and that is basically what you carry on doing if you're going to home educate, helping your children learn the next bit, the next bit, and the next bit, and the next bit, and the next bit. And that's all we do. It's basic parenting. That's all it is. It's just that it's 24/7 without the 6 hours a day break. But yeah, you literally, I mean, most kids that, with parents that when they're toddlers, we bake with them, we make biscuits, we make fairy cakes. Most of them have baked cakes before they've even started school. That is just something you carry on doing naturally with them as a parent. Well, that is a lesson, So don't underestimate yourself. Don't keep doubting yourself, guys. GCSE and exams. This is the bit I hate, because I don't think GCSEs are all that. Because this is my personal opinion, but I'm not here to give you my personal opinion, but I am going to anyway. My personal opinion is GCSEs are not all that. When I went to school and I did my GCSEs, if you got anything below a C, which I think now is a grade 4, if you get anything below that, you're classed as a fail. So I think I got 2 C's. The rest of my GCSEs were below, way below that. And my husband as well, he got 2 C's. Everything else was below that. But then he's gone on to manage a multi-million-pound company. GCSEs do not matter. So even if these kids go to school and sit 10 GCSEs, if they don't hit a C on any of them GCSEs, they failed every single one in the eyes of universities, colleges, employers. Like anything, you class as failed. But because them kids have sat their GCSEs, they're classed as having GCSEs. Well, they haven't, have they? Because they're not in the category you want them to be in. So you could send your child to school all the way through, and then them come out with D's, E's and F's, and then technically they're not classed as past their GCSEs. So what is the difference between that and then me home educating my child and them just not taking them? What is the difference? Because them kids that don't get GCSEs, and there are plenty of them, there is more kids that fail than pass. So yeah, these kids that have gone to school but come out with these grades, they still go on to get jobs. They still go on to have successful lives and create families and move on in life, you know? So I don't believe GCSEs are all that, I'm not going to lie. But let's get into it. Home educated children in the UK can sit their GCSEs, but it does work a little differently than in school. As a parent, you're responsible for arranging exams through an exam centre that accept private candidates. Most subjects must be taken as a private entry, and you'll need to cover the costs, which vary by subject and centre. So yeah, GCSEs can be pricey. Depending on which ones you want, there are ways around it. Many home educators choose IGCSEs, international GCSEs, because they often have fewer or no coursework requirements, making them more accessible to private candidates. Some subjects like maths, English and science are widely available in this format. So this is, I think, what I'm going to look at if my daughter has to do them for whatever she wants to do. Some colleges offer 14 to 16 programmes specifically for home educated young people where students can attend part-time and study towards qualifications like GCSEs or vocational courses. This can be a great opportunity for families looking for structured support in the later years of home education. Remember, there's no legal requirement to sit GCSEs, but they can be useful for future education or employment routes, and there's more than one way to achieve them. So this is another thing, there is more ways, and you've also got functional skills which they can go on to sit as well. A lot of colleges offer these, and these are equivalent to GCSEs. So yeah, the GCSEs are there and they are able, but if you believe your child can smash an interview with an employer or with a college or whatever, then I wouldn't worry too much, because let's face it, a lot of employers now want experience over qualifications, and I think home educated children have more experience when entering adulthood in general life than what a child that's been stuck in school 6 hours a day has. But there we go. So they're your options. GCSEs are available, and exams like SATs that they do sit during school are not legal and they do not have to be sat. So do not worry about them at all as a home educator, because these SATs are purely to group the children in school. So to make sure the children are hitting where they need to be hitting for the schools and the schools' Ofsted reports, etc., etc. So they are purely for the school, they're not actually for your child. They are for, and like the year 6 SATs, the year 2 SATs, they are to place them in what they call the correct groups later on. But like my daughter, for example, who went to a grammar school, she did her SATs, but her SATs did not matter at all to the grammar school. It was down on her 11 plus results. So her SATs that she stressed over actually meant nothing, and the grammar school told us this. Right, so I know for a lot of you, you will be struggling with this. You will have family, friends, people in your life that don't agree with your choice. So it's not uncommon for family members to question, disagree with the decision to home educate, especially if it's unfamiliar to them. Remember, your children live with you, and ultimately, you know what's best for them. While it can be hard to face criticism, it's important to stay confident in your choice and focus on what works for your family. You're not required to seek anyone's approval, and as long as your children are safe, happy and learning, you're doing the right thing. Over time, many sceptical relatives come around when they see the positive changes in your child's well-being and confidence, and this is exactly what happened with mine. So My husband wasn't, I can't say he was fully against it, but he didn't understand it. He very much was like, well, they need school, they need friends. What are you gonna learn them? You know, what are you gonna learn them? You're not that clever. No, I'm not at all. But their mental health and their physical health was more important to me than what they were gonna learn, personally. And I think as a mother, you know, or as a primarily, like, the main parent, shall we say, because most families have a main parent that is there, that does everything. So whether that be the mum or the dad, he was out at work 8 hours a day. He didn't know what phone calls I was getting from the schools, etc., etc. So he only knew what I was telling him about the school. So when we did this with both of them, he came around as soon as he started seeing the difference in my daughter mainly, and the way her confidence grew. That is when he said, actually, no, we made the correct choice, which was fantastic. So family and friends, if they are really your family and friends and they generally care about your children's well-being, they will come around to the idea. It's just scary because it's not familiar and it's not what's classed as normal. It's not what society teaches us. So how to deregister your child from school in the UK. So deregistering your child from school in the UK is a simple process. If your child is in mainstream school, not a special school, you just need to send a written letter or email to the head teacher stating your intention to home educate. The school is then required to remove your child from the register and inform the local authority. You do not need permission to home educate, and you can start as soon as the school acknowledges deregistration. If your child attends a special school, you'll need approval from your local authority first. Always keep a copy of your deregistration letter for your records. So this is England and Wales. If you are in Scotland, you do need to apply to home educate your child. I believe this is with the local authority. So deregistering is very, very simple. If you go back to my Stan store, which there will be a link in this email for, then you can download the deregistration letter if you wish to. That's completely free. Download it and it's your template to send to the school. So that'll be where we have questions. But obviously currently I can't ask any questions because I can't actually speak to anybody or see anybody because this is a recording. So this is just a little bit about my product and what I am doing. So this is Homeschool Harmony and it is the membership that I am launching tonight. I'm so nervous about this, but I want it to do so well. Because I think it could really, really help people, and I think I could seriously help a lot of families. So it's called Homeschool Harmony membership, just £10 a month, and I have called it homeschool, and I know I stress about I didn't stress, but I said about the difference between homeschool and home education. Now, yes, there is a difference, but I've called it homeschool because it's more of a structured thing in terms of learning. So we went with Homeschool Harmony. So what you're going to get is it's going to be your go-to support hub for home educating families, and things included are things like monthly theme project for all ages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a project on different topics, and then you as a family are going to go off and you're going to study them projects, and then you're going to come back to the VIP Facebook group, which is here, and you're going to share what you've done on that project that month. That's what we're going to do. And then expert-led webinar every month. So every month you're going to have one expert come in externally and share what they're an expert in and help you in some way. And if it's not for the parents, then it could be someone for the children. So I could get an expert on insects, for instance, come in and do an actual lesson with the children. So there's going to be lots of different things that we're going to look into doing in that. But lots of different people coming in. A fortnightly Q&A session with me. So we're going to fortnightly come on to Zoom and do a question and answer. So I might do one daytime one and one evening one, depending on what suits everybody. Like I say, this is not launched at the minute, so the first month is going to be trial and error. That is why it's only £10 a month. All this for £10 a month is an absolute bargain. So you're going to have your VIP Facebook group as well to come to. Fortnightly street dance Zoom classes. This is worth £10 a month on its own. Absolutely amazing. My daughter's going to run these, and this is why I've included it in this and not done it separately, because she is only 13, but her dream is to teach dancing. She has danced for 8+ years now, and she's an amazing street dancer. She's 13 and she wants to teach others to do it too. So she's going to put together some little routines, and she's going to teach them, and we're going to do it all over Zoom, and we're going to have all the kids dancing, jumping about and having fun. And this, again, in your LA reports, will go towards your PE and fitness and getting them up and about. So then you're also going to have access to a supportive member hub. So there is a membership back office that you will be able to get into, and this has a page which you can, I believe you can comment on. Like I say, it's all brand new to me, but things will be posted there constantly. But you've got the Facebook page as well, where we can talk and we can learn, move, we can grow, and we can literally become a family and support one another. And I think it could be such a beautiful community. I really do. So that is everything that is included in, like I say, and monthly support and guidance for parents. You don't really get this in a lot of homeschool situations, because it can be very isolating just as a parent. If you, like around where I live, we haven't got any groups or anything. I am trying to currently set one up, but there isn't a lot. So I am a parent that's quite isolated in that respect. Luckily my daughter dances and I have the dance mums. But yeah, I'm rambling now because I am really nervous about this one. And I think that's why I'm rambling. But I'm so excited about it as well, because I want it to do so well. Because I just want to help. Anyway, about my products. So this is a book that I wrote. Okay, so it is a book, but obviously I've got to do it as an ebook. I'm not sure whether I'd ever go down the route of publishing. I have been told it should be published, but I don't know. But yeah, you can home educate my downloadable ebook. So, a supportive guide for UK families stepping away from school, feeling overwhelmed, unsure where to start. This book is your calm voice in the chaos. Discover what home education really looks like in the UK, how children learn naturally without sitting at a desk all day, support for SEND and school trauma recovery, GCSEs, functional skills and life after school, practical tips, inspiring real-life stories and resources lists. Reassuring, real and exactly what I needed as a new home educating parent. That's another one that, again, I have had people buy this one and say that it needs to be published. So I don't know. That's another. Do we, don't we? If you do buy this one, again, it's in my stand store. Just go back to the email, click the link and go into this. And if you do buy it and download it, please let me know your feedback. Because I think if I get a few more people say that yes, it could be published, I might look into it. Anyway, about my products. Again, group one-to-one coaching for home ed families. Group and one-to-one, should I say. So I'm swaying more towards group coaching. But if you wanted a one-to-one coaching, then that's absolutely fine. We can do that too. But it's basically to try and offer, like, especially if you can't words out rambling. If we did one-to-one, I'm thinking about potentially having Zoom, like once a week Zoom calls for a month, let's say, and we'll get into finding your child's unique learning style and interests. So I can help you find that out. Tailor project ideas and optional structure that suits you and your lifestyle, and maybe put some timetables together or whatever you wish to have. Receive clear practical guidance with ongoing support, and choose group sessions if you want a community, or one-to-one for a deeper personalised experience. So if you want in sort of one-on-one personalised experience on learning how to make your home education work, if you want in that, then that's absolutely fine, and we can do that. If you're wanting more of a community, then I'm looking at group sessions, but I'd have to have so many books in before we could obviously do a group session. Now, it would be concentrating on what it says there, is literally concentrating on what you're finding your child's learning styles and trying to make your home education journey as enjoyable and easy flowing for you as it can be, and also obviously for your child. Because if you start to understand your child, home education will become so much easier in every aspect. So the offer of this is there, and I hope to see some of you maybe in the membership, or if you do buy my book, please let me know how you get on with that. If you are after coaching, then I don't think this is on my stand store yet, but it will be going up in the next few days. So keep this email so you have got the link to my stand store. So if you do want this, you can come back and purchase it later. Also, just drop me an email or a message and let me know what your issues are, or what you're struggling with, what you're worrying about, or anything like that, and then I can advise you on the best product to help you, obviously depending on budgets and stuff. So I think with the grouping and the coaching, it is just pricing for me at the minute. I've got to work out pricings. I don't want to charge a lot, but then I don't want to charge not enough. So I will start with some offers though, just to help people out and help myself out. So yeah, we'll be dropping some offers on them shortly. So if it is the coaching that you're after, then hold fire, hold on to this email and keep looking. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to me. So this has been an hour, so I'm wondering, it's going to take a little bit longer tonight, isn't it, with the Q&A involved. So that's amazing. But if you've watched all this video, thank you very much. And I hope to see you again soon.